Hey there. I was just thinking about something that came up in our comments recently, and it really got me thinking about one of those parts of English that just seems to trip everyone up. It's funny because it's so incredibly common in everyday conversation, but it can feel like such a mystery if you're not used to it. Have you ever been listening to a native English speaker or watching a movie and they say something that sounds like simple words, but together they just don't make any sense at all? Like, I need to get over my cold, or can you put up with the noise? And you're sitting there thinking, get over what? Put up where? I totally get it. It's that little moment of confusion that can make you feel like you're missing a secret code. And honestly, it is a kind of secret code, the secret world of English phrasal verbs. This topic always goes so incredibly viral because it's such a universal struggle for English learners. Everyone, at some point, scratches their head over these. But honestly, once you start to unravel them, it's like a whole new door opens up in your English fluency. You suddenly understand so much more, and you start sounding so much more natural yourself. It's truly transformative. So if you're ready to tackle this big, important topic with me and turn that confusion into confidence, then you are definitely in the right place. Before we dive into this adventure, because it really is an adventure, this lesson is something I've poured a lot of thought into based on your questions. If you're excited to finally conquer these sometimes crazy phrasal verbs, please take a quick second to hit that like button. It really, truly helps this video reach more amazing learners like you all around the world. And if you haven't joined our wonderful community yet, make sure you subscribe and tap that little bell icon so you don't miss any of our upcoming tips and lessons. Your support means so much to me, and it helps me keep creating helpful content for all of you. All right, let's talk about phrasal verbs. So essentially, a phrasal verb is just a verb, an action word, right? Combined with a preposition like in, out, up, down, on, off, or sometimes an adverb, or sometimes both. And together, this combination creates a brand new meaning that often has nothing to do with the original verb or the individual words themselves. This is why they're such a challenge. For example, give means to hand something over, but give up means to quit, to surrender, to stop trying. It's not about handing something upwards at all, is it? That's the magic and the madness of phrasal verbs. My own journey with understanding phrasal verbs was definitely filled with aha moments and a few oh no moments too. I remember early on, I was talking to a friend about a problem I was having, and they said, "Oh, you'll get through it." And I literally thought, get through what? Like a tunnel? But they meant, you'll manage it, you'll survive it. It really highlights how these combinations create completely new, often idiomatic meanings. Let's think about put for a second. Simple verb, right? But then we add a tiny word, and the meaning explodes. You can put on your clothes, which is literal, but you can also put on a show, meaning to perform. Or my favorite, put on weight. Two very different things. And then there's put up with, meaning to tolerate something annoying. I can't put up with that noise anymore. It's so expressive, but if you think about put and up and with separately, it makes no sense. That's the magic and the madness of phrasal verbs. One of the biggest struggles I find is distinguishing between phrasal verbs that are separable and those that are inseparable. This is super important for sounding natural. Some phrasal verbs, you can separate the verb and the particle, that little preposition or adverb, with the object. So you can turn on the light or turn the light on. Both are perfectly correct. You can also turn it on with the pronoun in the middle. My personal preference is usually to put the pronoun in the middle if it's a separable phrasal verb. It just flows so nicely. But then, there are the inseparable ones. With these, the verb and the particle must always stay together. You cannot separate them. A classic example is look into, meaning to investigate. You say, I'll look into the problem. You simply cannot say, I'll look the problem into. That just sounds completely wrong to a native speaker. Or get along with, meaning to have a good relationship. I get along with my colleagues. You don't get my colleagues along with. No, no, no. This is where practice really comes in, because there's not always an obvious rule for which one is which. It's often about listening and remembering. Another crucial distinction is whether a phrasal verb is transitive or intransitive. Again, these words sound big and scary, but the concept is simple. Transitive means the phrasal verb takes an object, like pick up. You pick up the pen. The pen is the object. Intransitive means it doesn't take an object, like wake up. You just wake up in the morning. You don't usually wake something up when you're talking about yourself. Understanding this subtlety helps you use them correctly without having to overthink every single sentence. My mental trick is always, does this action need something to act on? If yes, it's transitive. If no, it's intransitive. So with all this complexity, how do we actually master these sometimes illogical, often confusing, but truly essential phrasal verbs? My absolute top strategy, and this is truly, truly crucial, context is king. Please, please, please don't try to memorize long alphabetical lists of phrasal verbs with their definitions. It's overwhelming, it's boring, and honestly, it's not very effective for long-term retention. Instead, learn them in full sentences, in natural phrases, in real-life situations. When you encounter a new phrasal verb, write down the whole sentence you heard or read it in. This gives you the context, which helps you understand its meaning and exactly how it's used. This is how I learned so many myself, by just paying active attention to whole sentences when I was watching TV shows or reading books. That contextual learning makes such a huge difference. Another incredibly helpful tip is to connect them to visuals or actions. If you're learning put on, actually put on a coat or a hat while you say it. If you're learning take off, physically take off something. Our brains absolutely love connections, and linking a phrasal verb to a physical action makes it stick in your memory so much better. I always encourage my students to use gestures. When you say stand up, actually stand up. When you say sit down, actually sit down. It feels a little bit silly, but it really, really works wonders for retention. Then think about grouping them by core verb. Sometimes learning all the phrasal verbs that use the same core verb can be really insightful and help you see the patterns or the lack thereof. For example, all the look phrasal verbs: look up, look for, look out, look into, look after, which means to take care of. See how wonderfully different they are, even though they all start with look. Learning them together helps you compare and contrast their meanings, and it highlights how that tiny little particle changes everything. It's truly fascinating when you break it down like that. And please, please don't shy away from active usage. This is perhaps the most important part. Try to use them in your own conversations, even if it feels a little bit awkward or clunky at first. Start small. Pick just one or two new phrasal verbs you've learned this week and consciously try to use them when you're speaking English. Maybe you will intentionally find out something from a friend, or you'll ask them to fill you in, meaning to give you the details on what happened over the weekend. My personal experience is that the more I pushed myself to use them in my own speech, the more natural they became, and suddenly they were just part of my everyday way of speaking without me even thinking about it. Also, active listening practice is absolutely vital. Pay super close attention when you're watching movies, listening to podcasts, or having conversations with native English speakers. They use phrasal verbs constantly, often without even realizing it. Try to identify them. Pause the video or the audio if you need to, and think about what that phrasal verb means in that specific context. This kind of active, detective-like listening is super powerful for understanding how they truly function in real-world English. My biggest piece of advice, and this is so important for avoiding overwhelm, is don't try to learn too many at once. Pick just 2 or 3 new phrasal verbs each week. Focus on those. Learn their meanings, see them in context, and try to use them. Trying to memorize 50 or 100 at once is just a recipe for frustration, and honestly, you won't retain them. Small, consistent steps are truly the secret to long-term success with phrasal verbs. This is a marathon, not a sprint, as we say. Common pitfalls I've observed in my students and even in my own early learning are definitely using the literal meaning of the verb and particle, like the put out example I shared earlier, or thinking break down only refers to a car, or forgetting the particle entirely, like saying I looked my keys instead of I looked for my keys, or making mistakes with separability, like trying to say I will look the problem into. These are incredibly natural mistakes, so please, please don't feel bad if you make them. Just recognize them as amazing learning opportunities. Each mistake is just a stepping stone to clarity.
Phrasal verbs are a fascinating, incredibly dynamic, and expressive part of the English language. They make your English sound so much more authentic, so much more natural, and so much more fluent. When you start using them confidently, you'll feel this incredible, amazing boost in your English conversation abilities. It's like you've unlocked a secret level in your language learning journey. It truly is about understanding the very heart of everyday English speaking, and it brings so much more color and nuance to your communication. So, embrace the challenge, have fun with them, and know that every single phrasal verb you master brings you closer to your ultimate fluency goals. You know, the journey to English fluency is absolutely filled with these wonderful little victories. Each tricky grammar point you master, each new vocabulary word you learn, and especially each phrasal verb you use confidently builds on the last, creating this amazing, unstoppable momentum. And mastering phrasal verbs is a huge, huge part of that. It's truly empowering when you realize you're not just speaking English, but you're speaking it with authenticity, nuance, and genuine ease. I hope you feel that excitement, that determination to tackle these head on. Remember, consistency is your absolute best friend. Even just a few minutes of focused practice each day can make an incredible difference over time. Don't ever give up. Be patient and kind with yourself. Every single time you try, you're getting closer to that natural, fluent English you dream of. I am so incredibly proud of every single one of you who is putting in the effort to improve your English speaking. Your dedication is truly, truly inspiring to me every single day. So, if this video helped you unravel some of the mysteries of English phrasal verbs and gave you some strategies to tackle them, please give it a big thumbs up. It really does help us reach more amazing learners just like you. And I would absolutely love, love, love to hear about your progress. What phrasal verb did you find most confusing today? What's a new one you're excited to try using in your next English conversation? Share your experiences and questions in the comments below. I read every single one, and your insights help me create even more helpful lessons for our incredible community. And of course, if you're not already a part of our learning family, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on any future lessons. Thank you so, so much for watching, for learning with me, and for being such a wonderful part of this journey. Keep practicing, keep learning, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Bye for now.